Hello everyone, you're welcome to Delare Studios. Today's study or tutorial will be focused on the action bar of the Android. We'll be walking through on how to get a good and functional action bar for the Android application. Our Android action bar was introduced to maintain a consistent navigation across the application. It has the powerful capabilities like adapting to screen configurations, landscape, and portraits inclusively, prioritizing important actions, adding widgets to action bar, search sharing, providing navigation between screens, drop down, tabbed navigation, and much more. In this tutorial, we are going to cover most of the action bar functionality. Yeah, I have a working project here which actually depicts what we're about doing. It's called the action bar, in which we'll walk you through on the step by step of how to actually achieve a wonderful action bar integration into your Android project. We talk about the overview of the action bar. You know, when we talk about the app icon, the view control, the action bars, and the action overflow. The app icon is basically the branding logo icon that will be displayed, you know. And we have the overflow, which shows all unimportant actions, which are left behind, thereby probably definitely the action bar top cannot take all icons, but there can be some left behind which will be shown in the overflow. The diagrammatical chart actually depicts that, and it actually shows different flows, the search widget, the back navigation, the spinner, the tab, and the overflow. So these are the points that we'll be looking at basically today. So in adding an action bar, I'll quickly walk you through on those modules that we actually need to pinpoint in order to have a wonderful action bar integration into your application. In adding an action bar, we'll talk about the activity, the rest. I'll take you straight down to the rest folder, which is somewhere here, the rest folder, and we have the menu. We talk about the activity underscore main underscore actions.xml. This is one place that we have to look at vividly. We'll be talking about different items that were added. We open an XML tag called the item. We'll give it an ID, search, and a drawable. A drawable is just is like an image, which is always in portable network graphics format, PNG. So you show as action if room. If there is room, you show it. We have the location too, which is just done like the previous one. We have the refresh. We have the help and the check updates. These are the major bar. They are the major icons that will be visible in the action bar. And the main important points that we need to look at is the Android icon, which defines the icon of the action item. The Android title, which talks about the title for the icon, and the Android show as action, which defines the visibility of the action item. It accepts the following values. It accepts the values like if room, sorry for this pop-up, if room, yeah, which is just right there. That if there is room, you display the icon. If there is space available in the screen, that's what that does. Then never, we can have never there, which is right in the up. Never places the icon on the action bar. That's don't place this action in the action bar. How do you keep it overflowing or something? We have always. Did I add always? Okay. We used to have always. So always is like it's gonna force us to display the icon always, irrespective of the space available. This way, no, it's not suggested. So we have with text and we have collapse action view. So once you get this menu layout right, this is the first step that we need to get right. So once you have this XML layout right inside, we are good to go. So we'll move straight to the on create menu of the main activity. So the main activity is actually under the model folder, click on the main activity. I try to expand this to have a clearer view of what's happening. So in the main activity, we rush down to the onCreate model. This is actually overriding a superclass, calling the onCreate and save instance state. So this is actually going to show the layout of the activity main layout, which we actually talked about earlier. The activity main actions. So that's where it's been specified, and it's just gonna return a super menu. Yeah, so this is actually needed for the action bar icon to be visible on the bar. So we are going straight down to the handling of the action bar icon events. We must know how to undo each event that comes up in the action bar, which takes us down to this, because I commented this on selecting action bar icons. So we'll be talking about the on options item selected, which has the parameter the menu item, which we're going to use a switch type of casing. Is going to actually point us to the ID that is actually holding on to each action icon. So probably once we have an action search clicked, where is it going to go to? What activity is going to hold on to that? What activity is going to launch that out? All those things are done in the option item selected. So on option is just from the way the names imply, on option item, on which one you actually clicked on or selected. So we have for the action location found, which definitely is probably left empty. On is left empty. So we have the on action refresh to, and we have for the action help, and we have for the action check updates. All these are actually necessary for the option items selected. So we're going to talk about the enabling of the up and back navigation. Action bar also provides the feasibility of back navigation. When the app involves hierarchical relationships between screens, the behavior is not the same as Android system back button. It's quite different. A small back arrow icon will be displayed before action bar icon when up navigation is enabled. We first of all have to define the parent activity in the Android manifest. That takes us down to the Android manifest over here. We have to first of all define the parent activity and enabling the up navigation in the activity class. So first of all, we've created an activity location found XML. We define it here. Definitely we look at it here. The parent activity name is the action bar main activity, which is the parent class. But we actually enabled up navigation for a module there. So we search for our action location found. That should be in the layout. Okay, this XML title is actually needed. This is the first page. So an up navigation will be created from here down to the parent class. So we create a new class under your main package name called location found. There's a location found, which is actually calling a layout called activity location found.xml. So if you should notice very well, we had like 2 lines of code. The first line is the action bar. We initialize the action bar and get action bar. This line of code, we actually call an action bar. This is calling the activity of the action bar, and now we are calling the object created from the action bar, and we are setting a display home as up enabled, which is true. So it's going to point us back. It's going to point us back to the parent activity. That is actually done fine. So we quickly move to the Android manifest to see our parent activity. Move to the Android manifest, which is this. So our parent activity is the action bar main activity. So definitely that layout, once we are in the layout of location found, and a sort of an up button is being clicked, which is always by the left far top corner, this is going to point us back to the main activity, which is the parent class. So with just that 2 lines of code, you're going to achieve that smoothly. Now we can also hide or show the action bar in a particular activity. So we can just move back to the location found. In this, we only call action bar dot hide. So with this is just gonna hide the action bar from showing. We can also activate it back by showing it. Show action bar. So we call it this way, action bar dot show. This actually shows the action bar again. That's fine. So we actually don't need this functionality going forward, but this is just how to hide it and also show it back. Definitely is being showed by default. So let's move on. You can actually change the action bar icon, which I'm not gonna be doing at this moment, but there's just a straight line of code that can actually enable you to change the icon to something else, which is always from okay, this is always show me this message again. How to change the action bar icon. This is a chunk of code that we just just a line of code that we need to add to that, and that would definitely change drawable the icon in question. Action bar. So this actually changes. If you should watch vividly, the icon has definitely changed to something else. So this is going to change the icon of the action bar into another ICO icon that you've specified in the drawable. So this is just a line of code that actually changes your action bar icon. But I think I'll stick with the one there. Let's move on. Now we'll be talking about how to add a search widget to action bar. Another most useful feature of action bar is adding widget to it. For example, like adding search widget to action bar. Search widgets can be useful when user wants to search for something in the app or across Android operating system. You know, it actually deals with some steps, like you add the search widget to action bar item, you define the searchable configuration in the XML, you create the activity to handle search query and display the results. Now afterwards you now define the default searchable activity and search intel filter in Android manifest. So first of all, that takes us down to our activity main actions XML, activity main actions XML, which is the menu where we actually added our search functionality. Look at it, that's the search widget. So it must be there. So it's always showed if there is room. If there is room, if there is room, you create a search for us. If there is room, it should be a search. Should be a search if there is room. So that is fine. That is well taken care of. So we go to our searchable XML over here, which is also fine. We have to create this too for us to have a searchable functionality. So this like an hint, and also the label, which is actually telling us that we are working on the action bar. So from there now we have to go to our main activity to make it work, which is going to be where the code is going to be. The main activity, we are calling on our onCreate options menu, which is over here. So this is overriding a superclass, and we are going to instantiate an object called menu inflate, call it inflator, and from the instantiated object we call the menu action main actions, activity main actions rather, which we talked earlier, which is the XML. So we are going to associate searchable configuration with the search view. We are going to call a search manager object. We initialize it, we instantiate. Let me expand this to make it quite visible. So we get a system search on it. We create another search view object, which will find the item with an ID of action search. So we get an action view, and we set a searchable info from the search manager, and we return a superclass on create options menu. So that chunk of code is actually needed for us to make it fit on our search functionality of the action bar. So that actually takes us back to the activity search result XML, activity search result XML. This is in the layout folder where we actually create a sort of activity layout for our search. It has the layer width of the parent, matching the parent, the height matching the parent, the padding bottom, the padding left, the padding right, and the text view, which is going to wrap the content. That is just the layout of how the search is going to look like. So there is this particular Java class that is being created for the search, which is the search result activity. This is for the search. This takes care of the text view, which is where I've created a private field called text query. Now on create bundle, this is going to call the layout the activity search result that we talked about earlier, and there's an action bar right inside it, which is going to set us back to our home class, which is the main activity. Then we have to override. There's an intent. Definitely is going to move from one activity to the other. There's always an intent that undoes that, and definitely things you can actually expand this further. Probably you need to call from an SQLite database, or you need to call from somewhere else, or you need to call through JSON, where probably through web services. This can be done right inside the undo intent. What are you actually searching for? That's what this functionality, the public, the private void undo intent class, is actually doing. So that takes us, that sounds very, very, very okay. So we now move to our Android manifest, which is quite important too. We have to notify the manifest of what we are doing with the searchable. So will be the Android app default activity somewhere here. Okay, so this is it, the Android name. So we have to register it. The Android app defaults searchable with an Android value of a search result activity. Without this being registered, the intent will not work fine. Before an intent should work fine, there must be a registered notification in the manifest. Where we have a metadata, the search result activity is right specified there, which has a parent activity where the up button will be pointed to. It's pointed to the main activity, and there is a metadata. The metadata is the Android app searchable and the XML of the searchable. This will be registered there, and this is also registered for all their modules, which are quite needed in the action bar. Now we're gonna add a sort of spinner drop-down navigation. Now this is a full package action effect. There's a spinner, can also be replaced with a tab, but now we're going to stick to our spinner. Action bar has the inbuilt capability of adding spinner drop-down to switch between views. This navigation is suggested when your app view switching is not much frequent. The spinner we are adding here is using a custom list adapter, where the list item we have an icon and text like Google Maps app. The gather required and the list and place them under drawable folders with different resolution. We create a sort of package, call it the spinner nav item class. So we'll look at that. We have in the model, which is, we actually place it in a separate folder called the model in the action bar folder. We call it spinner nav item. So this is just introducing us to the spinner nav item class. The string title has the 2 parameter and the integer as an icon. So this, which is for this particular one, this is a constructor created here, which is going to replace the attributes title with the specific class title and also the icon title. That's that for that. Now we are going to the XML layout of our title navigation for the spinner. So it's called the list underscore item underscore title underscore navigation. Yeah, this is actually going to load our XML for our spinner. We have an image view that is actually giving us the icon, the drawable IC launcher, and our text view, which is also giving us the image icon. This is actually necessary too. From there, we'll drive down to the title navigation adapter class. The title navigation adapter. This is the adapter that is actually holding the spinner. Where we create a public, class get count, an object get item, which is what returning is actually returning a spinner. Returning a spinner nav item. We create a long get item ID to, which is returning a position. This actually is going to assign an icon to the list of the spinner. So we have the image icon, the image view, the text view, the text title. So this is going to override the drop down view of the default. With this chunk of code here, you're going to have a smooth spinner right there. So we move straight down to straight down. With that's gonna be fine. So we would like to run this and let you see how the flow actually is. You can get a full source code of this in my my GitHub account repository. The link is right showing on your screen. From there, you can get to download this project. It's called the action bar, and you can improve on it, and you can use it for your pleasure. You can use it for any of your projects. You can use it to achieve one or two things in your Android projects. So I would like to run this for us to see how this actually looks like. So I click on my run. I need to expand my Gradle console in order to be sure of what is actually searching up. So it's actually built successfully. It's telling me to choose a running device, which is my emulator. I click on this, and my emulator is quite there. So it's gonna refresh and launch the application. So we're waiting for that to fine. These are the functionalities that I actually talked about. We first of all talk about the spinner right here. So this is fine. It's actually showing the icon, the local, the my places, the check-ins, the latitude. These are just menus, menus in menus at the top bar, which can actually be done using a tab layout. But I think spinners too is also cool. We have the search functionality over here, which enables us to search, but definitely there must be a database to search on, or probably you search over a web service or something. This functionality is cool, and this is taking us to another page using the intent that we did earlier on, and look at our hop navigation very close to our icon over there. Once we click back, it takes us back to the parent now, to the parent class, which is this. So we still have other menus which are overflowed. They are hidden. They are hidden because there are not more spaces for them to actually occupy, so they will be kept in an overflow tab. So we have the refresh, the help, and the check for updates there. I think this is fine. You can check the source code in my GitHub, which is right shown again. And I hope you enjoyed this lesson. Thank you very, very much.